Welcome to the Dan Sports Tips Euro 2016 daily fantasy show for DraftKings. We're looking at the Euro 2016 games today that are taking place and the games on DraftKings and the way you should be constructing your roster. For anyone that hasn't signed up to play with DraftKings yet, I will put a link in the description of this video. You click right there, you'll be able to sign up straight away today. We're looking to build a roster of a goalkeeper, 2 defenders, 2 midfielders, 2 forwards and 1 utility player. Points are scored like this. I'm going to dive straight in with goalkeepers today. Joe Hart of England, 5,300. Look, it's Derby day today in the Euros. You've got England against Wales. You've got Poland against Germany. I'm expecting the 3 Lions of England to beat the Welsh Dragons. It's a 3-on-1 fight. 3 Lions, 1 Dragon. It's not fair. England will win off the back of the great performance. I'm sure of that. I don't feel that Hart is anywhere close to being the best keeper in the world. He is prone to the odd mistake. That being said, I do believe the English backline and holding midfield are disciplined enough and have enough experience of Gareth Bale to neutralise him, and with that being the majority of the Welsh threat, I fully expect them to win the game, closing him down, notching Hart 5 points for the win, and I think a clean sheet is distinctly possible as well. Andriy Pyatov of the Ukraine for 5,400. He's facing off against the Northern Irish, who will in all likelihood have a go at the Ukrainians in this game, but I don't see them being too expansive and straying away from the well-disciplined approach that brought the small nation to their first major championship in 30 years. Pyatov looks capable enough of keeping the Ulstermen at bay, and I expect the Ukrainians to win the game and as such notch those valuable 5 points for the second most expensive keeper in the game today. In defence, Danny Rose of England, he will set you back 4,900 today. Look, he's shown all season for Spurs. He loves to get forward and join in the forward play. He had an excellent game against the Russians at both ends of the pitch as England deployed a system that uses lots of whiffs and gets both fullbacks involved in the game. Assuming Roy Hodgson doesn't change things up, and I don't expect him to, he isn't normally that kind of coach, then Rose offers huge upside in this game, as does the fullback on the other side for England, his colleague at Spurs, Kyle Walker for 4,800. Skodran Mustafi of the Germans for 3,500. Fresh off a good performance in the opener, notching a goal. The German defender looks set to start. He was by no means an automatic selection coming into this tournament, but the Valencia man has shown his value to the side, and the Germans will want to ensure their best 11 for what will be a blood and thunder derby match with their neighbours Poland. And finally, Lukas Piszczek for Poland for 4,500. The Dortmund man did have an excellent game for the Polish in the opener against the Northern Irish. I think that the game with Germany will be more even than a lot of people anticipate. The Poles will definitely be up for this. Piszczek will get forward and support out wide and provide some supply to the duo of Lewandowski and Milik up front. Moving on to the midfielders today, Yevhen Konoplyanka for Ukraine for 7,300. The Seville wide man will be looked upon to carry the creative load for the Ukrainians and create chances for Yarmolenko up top. He scored twice in qualification and will take the majority of set pieces for the Ukraine. The Ukrainians should see a lot more of the ball in this game than they did in their opener and have the opportunity to create chances and maybe score some goals, because the German game, you know, the Germans were always going to dominate that. Speaking of Germany, Toni Kroos, 6,700. He is one of the primary set-piece takers for the Germans, along with Mesut Ozil. The Real Madrid man has been an integral part of the German midfield for many years. He does get the odd goal. He's scored 11 times for Germany. He'll have plenty of forward opportunity as part of the 4 German players likely to form part of the false 9 they play up top, though granted Thomas Müller will spend the majority of time spearheading those 4 at the front of the attack. Stephen Davis of Northern Ireland for 5,000. Southampton midfielders should be involved in this game in the middle of the park. It's one of those games that neither team will want to lose and could develop into something of a midfield battle. However, the win will be far more critical for the Northern Irish as they will face Germany in their last game. So at some stage they will likely have to push forward and have a go and throw men at the game to try and get a positive result. Davis has had a solid season for Southampton, featuring 34 times. He's the main set piece taker for the Northern Irish. Free kicks and corners at the international level, as we know, are massively important. A lot of goals do come from set pieces. So I think for 5,000 he allows you to pay up elsewhere. And Jakub Blaszcykowski for Poland at 6,200. The Fiorentina wide man has large set piece responsibilities for a Polish side that would love nothing more than to defeat the Germans at a major tournament, and they did defeat them in qualification. After an excellent opening game against the Northern Irish in a game that I expect to be more even, I think Blaszczykowski can continue in an upward trend and have a good game here. I did look at both Andrzej Schürrle for Germany and Grosicki for Poland, but neither of them did start in the first game, so it is difficult to put them up, though they will offer value if they start. But with it being the last game of the day as well, it limits your options for a replacement, so I'm not keen to include them really today. Up front, we'll go with Harry Kane of England for 10,400. He played as the low man at the tip of the spear for England in the opener against the Russians. He did look at times lacking in confidence, which is somewhat unusual for the man who did lead the Premier League in goal scoring this year. This game should be more to his liking, as the Welsh team are predominantly British based. It should be a bit more like a Premier League fixture, I think. I do expect Kane to bounce back and silence the doubters in this game, one in which England will need a performance, and I expect them to deliver. He's also been seeing an increased opportunity at corners, and set pieces obviously do add value. Arkadiusz Milik of Poland for 8,700. There is no doubt that the Germans will know how potent Lewandowski can be from his time spent in the German league. Milik was the second top goal scorer for the Poles in qualifying, netted one in the Polish victory over the German side during qualifying. The target man netted 6 in 9 in qualification and 21 times for Ajax in Holland this year. He forms one half of a very dynamic front pair, and I feel sure he will still cause the Germans problems and will probably be underused in comparison to Lewandowski. Andriy Yarmoleno of the Ukraine for 8,100 is one of the two clear star players for this Ukrainian team. Their hopes of winning games rest on the shoulders of Yarmolenko and Konoplyanka to make things happen. This is the weakest side the Ukrainians will face in the group, the Northern Irish, and they proved in qualification that while they are somewhat outmatched against the better sides, they do generally have their way with the minnows of world football. Yarmolenko did top score for this Ukrainian team in qualification with 6 goals. And finally, speaking of the Northern Irish minnows, Kyle Lafferty for 5,200. Lafferty was the top scorer for the Northern Irish during qualifications. The Ulstermen will be looking at this game as their best chance of getting anything from a game in these finals. The Birmingham striker certainly does seem the likeliest man to take advantage of an ageing Ukrainian defence should the Northern Irish create enough to score today. That's all I've got for you today. Best of luck with your lineups. As I say, I will put the link in the description for this video to enable you to sign up to DraftKings. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at dansports.tips. I'll be back tomorrow.